Pilgrims arrived in New England in November of 1620. What happened to them after they settled in the New World? After signing the Mayflower Compact, the passengers were allowed to leave the ship. This ended a voyage that had lasted over 2 months. Their first order of business was to attend to the hygiene issues which had been neglected during their journey, primarily bathing. The first group to explore land were led by Captain Miles Standish. They found an empty native village with buildings and fields that had been cultivated for planting. They learned that the abandoned village had belonged to the Patuxet tribe. These natives had died during a plague 3 years before. They discovered a number of graves where they found corn, which had been buried with the natives. They had no wish to rob these graves, but they were nearly out of food and were facing starvation. So they took some of the corn to eat and buried the rest, so they could plant it in the spring. Construction began at once on a larger village as supplies were brought ashore. This was the colony that became known as Plymouth. It was mostly completed by February of 1621. However, the winter months took a heavy toll on the settlers. Late November had been a poor time to arrive in New England. The weather kept getting colder and supplies were scarce. It would be months before new crops could even be planted, much less harvested. Many of the Pilgrims became ill and began coughing violently. At one point, only 6 or 7 adults were healthy enough to care for the others. By the time spring arrived, only 47 settlers were still alive. This meant that over half of the entire population had died. That spring, the Pilgrims met Squanto, the only remaining member of the Patuxet tribe. He showed them the best ways to catch fish and a method for planting corn, which involved placing the corn inside a dead fish, which acted as fertilizer and helped the corn grow. With Squanto's help, conditions in the fledgling colony improved. By the end of their first full year, the Pilgrims truly had something to be thankful for. That November, they celebrated their health and their new lives for 3 days. This event is what we now recognize as the first Thanksgiving.